Welcome back to the PHP tutorial series. This is the 7th installment, and this is one of the last ones before we move on to database applications. So, one of the useful things in code is to be able to do something over and over again. Now, it's all very well and good writing a piece of code and copying and pasting and copying and pasting, but if you wanted to do it, say, 1,000 times, it's really impractical, and it causes a problem if you want to edit it, because you'd have to go through each one in turn and edit it. So there's an easier and simpler way to do it, and this is called looping. Okay, so the first loop I want to talk about is the for loop. Okay, now it's similar to an if statement in structure. It's got the word for in place of if, then it's got conditions, and then you've got the squiggle parentheses. Okay, so we'll make a variable called I, and we'll for I equals 0. Okay, then we'll put a semicolon, then I is less than 100, and then we'll use the incrementation which we talked about before with I++. Okay, and what this will do is it will say for every case where I is a whole number that is between 0 and 99 inclusive, remembering that it's less than 100, it'll do the code. So echo hello. We'll put a little break in there just to, okay. Now if we go on loop, there we have hello printed on the page 99 times. Sorry, 100 times, because it starts at 0. Okay? And that is how a for loop works. And that's much easier than copying and pasting over and over and over. Okay? And that is the first kind of loop. Right, next one we need to talk about is excuse me, a while loop. Okay, so now we need to put while, let's say, while I is less than 100. Okay, now this on its own will loop forever and ever. Even if we put I is equal to 0 here, it'll still loop forever and ever because we haven't incremented it. So we need to put I++. And now that should now do exactly the same thing, and there we have it. Hello printed on the page again 99 times. And finally we need to know about the do while loop. Do. Okay, you get the word do and then you squiggle parentheses, then the condition comes at the end. Well, I is less than 100. Now, this code will always execute at least once, even if the condition is true, because it executes the code before it checks the condition. Okay, and those are the 3 types of loops that I want to cover. Okay, for now. There is one more type of loop, which is the Foreach, which we will cover later on. Okay, now that's how the main types of loops work, and the other types of loops, the while and the for, do not have to execute at all because it checks the condition before the code is executed. So it's obviously, like I said, very useful for when you want to repeat code over and over and over and over. Okay, and that covers the 3 normal types of loops. Now we come on to the Foreach. Foreach is slightly different from the others because it takes an array as its argument. Okay, so what you would do is we'll make a variable called myArray, and we'll give equals array, and we'll give it 3 values just to start: Tom, John, and Mike. Okay. My array. Right, okay. And what you do here is you put my array. And then you would put space in the word as, and then here I'm going to put K, $K, $V. Now you can call K and V whatever you want, but I've put K and V to represent key and value. So I'm going to put echo $K, and then start string is has a value of $V. Okay. Actually, I should put a little break at the end of that. Okay. So it has 0 has a value of Tom, 1 has a value of John, and 2 has a value of Mike. And if you remember from our arrays tutorial, Tom got assigned 0, John got assigned 1, and Mike got assigned 2. And that's because it's automatically assigned key. And what that does is each time it goes through, it starts with Tom and it says, right, Tom is 0 and it has a value of Tom. The next one is 1 and has a value of John, and then the final one is 2 and has a value of Mike, and then it's done all of them, so it exits the loop. And that is how loops work. Now that's pretty much all there is to say about loops, but you can use them for much more practical uses. For example, let's say we're doing a for loop again. For I equals 0 to I is less than underscore get n. Okay, and then I plus to increment it, and echo I, and then put a little break. Okay, so what this will do is it won't echo anything, but as soon as we put n equals 10 in, it'll do it 0 through to 9, or let's say 100, 0 through to 99. Or we could change this, say, to 1, and we could put this as less than or equal to, and this will instead echo the numbers 1 to 100. And the loops can start wherever you want, so I could start at 50, refresh, now we've got 50 to 100. And that pretty much covers loops. If there's anything else you need to know, which this really shouldn't be about loops because they're quite simple and powerful, but if there is anything else you need to know, feel free to send me a message. Feel free to comment on the video, feel free to rate it, anything. And thanks for watching, and next time we'll be covering functions, both user-defined and predefined. And then after that, we're cracking on with database applications.